Imagine witnessing one of the most devastating forces of nature, something no one would ever want to experience. Tsunamis, like the catastrophic ones in 2004 and 2011, have left unimaginable destruction in their wake. Coastal cities that stood untouched for decades were wiped out in an instant, proving just how terrifying these waves can be. But throughout history, there have been tsunami waves so massive that they're almost beyond belief. Waves as tall as skyscrapers that demolished everything in their path. From the US to Japan, these are the 5 tallest tsunamis ever recorded. Typically, tsunamis are triggered by powerful underwater earthquakes, which displace huge amounts of water. However, there's another type of tsunami that isn't caused by earthquakes or any other geological activity. Known as a mega tsunami, this rare phenomenon occurs when a sudden event, like a massive landslide or collapsing iceberg, forces an enormous amount of water to shift. One of the most extreme mega tsunamis in history wasn't just an isolated event, it impacted the entire planet. Around 66 million years ago, an asteroid estimated to be between 6.8 and 50.3 miles in diameter struck the Yucatan Peninsula, creating what we now call the Chicxulub impact crater. This asteroid impact generated a mega tsunami over 100 meters high, so powerful and fast-moving that some scientists believe it pushed water as far inland as Chicago, Montana, or even parts of Canada. But in this case, the tsunami itself wasn't the most devastating consequence. The sheer force of the asteroid hitting Earth triggered environmental changes on a global scale, leading to an ice age and likely playing a key role in the extinction of the dinosaurs. Japan, one of the most geologically active places on Earth, sits at the intersection of 3 tectonic plates within the infamous Ring of Fire. This volatile region is home to numerous active volcanoes, making it a hotspot for seismic activity, including tsunamis. Among Japan's many active volcanoes is Mount Unzen, a complex of overlapping stratovolcanoes near Shimabara in Nagasaki Prefecture, located on Kyushu, Japan's southernmost main island. After centuries of dormancy, it became active again in 1990, and by 1991, a powerful eruption triggered a pyroclastic flow that claimed 43 lives. However, Mount Unzen is most infamous for the catastrophic event of 1792. After a series of earthquakes, a lava dome suddenly collapsed into the ocean, unleashing a massive mega tsunami. This disaster took the lives of over 14,000 people, making it Japan's deadliest volcanic-related tragedy. What made this tsunami particularly devastating was its ability to strike twice. It first hit the Higo province across Ariake Bay, then rebounded and slammed into Shimabara again. The wave reportedly reached an astonishing height of 330 feet, 100 meters, surging miles inland and obliterating everything in its path. Of the total casualties, approximately 5,000 were due to the initial landslide, another 5,000 from the tsunami's first impact, and the remaining victims were lost when the wave returned. While Mount Unzen's disaster remains one of Japan's most devastating, the 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens in the US is among the most destructive volcanic events in recorded history. Known for triggering Earth's largest terrestrial landslide in modern times, the eruption caused the northern slope of the volcano to collapse, setting off a chain reaction of destruction. One of the lesser-known yet catastrophic consequences of this collapse was the tsunami it generated in Spirit Lake. When the mountain's debris crashed into the lake, it created an enormous wave measuring 860 feet, 260 meters, above the lake level. The impact nearly doubled the lake's size from 1,300 acres to roughly 2,200 acres. Inland tsunamis like this are among the rarest natural disasters, but their force can be devastating. The colossal wave swept across the landscape, toppling trees and demolishing everything in its way. However, even this immense surge of water was eventually overtaken by the fiery ash cloud spewing from the volcano. The aftermath was even more destructive, Water mixed with volcanic ash created thick, devastating mud flows that choked rivers and left behind a dense sludge that took months to harden. Spirit Lake eventually recovered, but it took over 20 years for it to return to a stable condition. Today, its water level sits at around 3,406 feet, continuously monitored to prevent future disasters. As seen with the tragedy at Spirit Lake, inland tsunamis, though rare, can be just as deadly as those in the ocean. Anyone unfortunate enough to be in the path of a tsunami has little chance of escape. However, the devastating inland tsunami at Spirit Lake wasn't the first of its kind. Just 17 years earlier, Italy experienced a similar disaster, one that would go down as one of the worst dam failures in history. About 100 kilometers north of Venice, post-World War II, Italy embarked on several ambitious construction projects, including the ill-fated Morandi Bridge and a massive hydroelectric dam. Even before the dam was completed, geologists raised concerns about the instability of Monte Toc, the mountain looming above it. Locals also reported frequent tremors and landslides, warning that disaster was imminent. Despite these warnings, operators chose to address the risk by lowering the water level in the reservoir behind the dam, a decision that would prove catastrophic. On October 9, 1963, a colossal landslide sent an immense volume of rock, trees, and debris crashing into the reservoir. The impact created a wave that surged 250 meters above the dam before rushing down the valley, obliterating villages in its path. The sheer force of the tsunami displaced air with a power said to rival an atomic bomb. Tragically, around 80% of those in the impact zone perished, wiping out entire families and reducing villages to nothing. Investigations later confirmed that lowering the reservoir's water level combined with heavy rainfall had destabilized the mountain, making the disaster inevitable. The scale of these tsunamis is hard to fathom. Some are as tall as football fields are long, but it raises an even bigger question. Could a tsunami ever reach thousands of feet in height? While many might think it's impossible, history proves otherwise. The largest tsunami ever recorded struck in 1958 at Lituya Bay, a remote fjord in Alaska. On a calm July night, a massive earthquake shook the region, triggering a massive rockfall, around 30.6 million cubic meters of debris, 3,000 feet down into Gilbert Inlet. The impact displaced an unimaginable amount of water, launching a wave that reached a staggering height of 1,720 feet, 520 meters. As this monstrous wave surged through the fjord, it wiped out every tree and plant along the slopes, uprooting millions of trees and sweeping them away like twigs. Incredibly, despite its size, the tsunami claimed only 5 lives, simply because the area was so sparsely populated. This event remains the highest tsunami wave ever documented, demonstrating just how deadly tsunamis can be when triggered by landslides. The height from which the land collapsed played a huge role in the wave's power, and no other tsunami has come close since. We've explored how tsunamis, whether caused by earthquakes or landslides, are among the most destructive forces on Earth. Now, we have a scale to grasp just how massive they can be. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more just like it, click the link on screen now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.